You know, it takes a lot of qualities to become a congressman. I mean, typically you have to be a strong leader, a free thinker, and somebody who really knows what's good for those out there. The qualities they're not usually looking for: being a pedophile, a rapist, a white nationalist, and someone who has previously threatened the life of the President of the United States of America. Tonight on the show, I'm going to be talking to one of the latter types. His name is Nathan Larson, and here he was interviewed by Huffington Post, that wonderful journal, Huffington Post, about his proclivities. Here's a video called "I'm a Pedophile. Congressional Candidate Admits He's Attracted to Kids." This is from Huffington Post. There's Nathan Larson. Nathan Larson is running for Congress, and he admits he's a pedophile. Which, really? The 37-year-old accountant from Charlottesville, Virginia, that's my home state, Virginia, admitted this to Huffington Post on Thursday and has bragged about raping his ex-wife. In a phone call, Larson said that he created the now-defunct websites Suiped.org and Incelocalypse.today, chat rooms that served as gathering places for pedophiles and violence-minded misogynists like himself. His sites were terminated by their domain host on Tuesday. A lot of people are tired of political correctness and being constrained by it. That's a quote by Nathan. People prefer when there's an outsider who doesn't have anything to lose. Well, obviously, Nathan has absolutely nothing to lose when it comes to this race. So we're going to talk to him about that tonight on the show. Let's go bully the internet. This is PODAWFUL.
PODAWFUL sucks.
When you're stepping back and you want to die, PODAWFUL makes that worse. You're covered with knees, they won't let you fly. PODAWFUL quench your thirst.
You know what? You're not funny. I want to really kick your ass.
I'm in that ass, bro.
What's up, guys? I'm your host, Jesse P.S. You can friend me on Facebook, facebook.com/Mark Zuckerberg's Asian Dildo. Facebook.com/Mark Zuckerberg's Asian Dildo. I do implore you, friend me at that account because I have lost my main accounts. I was permanently zucked at facebook.com/JessePS. So make sure you send me that friend request, okay? It's the only place you're going to find me pretty soon. And, you know, after that, I mean, in the dark future that's coming up right around the corner when it comes to this political correctness, am I right? I'm no longer going to have any social media accounts. I think we can all just go ahead and call that right now. That's almost certainly going to be the case. So make sure you friend me. Facebook.com/Mark Zuckerberg's Asian Dildo. Which might come into play, that sort of concept, in just a minute here when we get into our interview with a pedophile and, of course, a hopeful future congressman. You know, this guy, some of you are going to have a violent reaction, negative reaction to him, but I want to hear him out. I'm not entirely sure if he was being 100% truthful with Huffington Post or not. And to be honest, there are some things that he and I not only share in common, but even agree on. Obviously not the pedophile part. We'll talk to him about it. We're going to give him his fair shake in just a second here. But before we do, we are live, as we are every Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time over at PODAWFUL.tv. We've got the live video stream going on right now, which if you're not watching live, you can check out the video later at youtube.com/PODAWFUL. Subscribe to us there. And, of course, I would say hit that bell icon, but I guess that's fucking meaningless now. Oh, boy. Tiny Nassim taught them nothing. She really taught them nothing. But anyway, subscribe to us on YouTube. And we do have the chat room going on right now that we call the Chaz Room. Let's check in with that chat room right now, see what they're saying. Oh, my God, I'm so excited, says Corey. How is he not in jail, says Joshua. Well, we don't know if he's offended yet. I'll make sure to ask him if he's actually a pedophile who is offended or if he is what's called a virtuous pedophile. Seems like an oxymoron, but we'll find out. The dark future is here, says Elizabeth, and I do agree with that as well. Let's get our guest on the show tonight. Okay, here we go. I'm going to Skype in with him. So, of course, it's got this terrible fucking ringtone that you cannot turn off. Thanks, Skype. Thanks, Internet. Okay, let's see. Nathan, you there?
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
Can you see
buddy.
me?
Not yet. Can you turn your camera on for me? Just hit the little camera icon. There we go. Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is our guest for tonight, running for Congress. This is Nathan Larson. Welcome to the program.
What's up? Thank you.
So, yeah, you got a little bit of background noise in there, so I apologize to the listeners out there, but it's really not much we can do about it. So, Nathan, you were interviewed by Huffington Post, I think it was Tuesday, correct?
Something like that.
Something like that, okay. And
Like the 31st, I think.
somewhere around there. And so, of course, this news story blew up. I'm not sure if you were even on the map as far as running for Congress before that or not. But, of course, that's where I first heard of you. And I'm not sure if they quoted you correctly on everything, if they gave you a fair shake. I want to make sure I fully understand your platform, your ideals, who you are as a man, because I think there's a lot of people out there just sort of running with this story and not really thinking any harder about it. Would I be correct in assuming that? Do you think that's true?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, they certainly went with a certain angle.
Right.
And I have the raw transcript, yeah.
Oh, did you like record the conversation you had with Huffington Post?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, because there was a point where he was like, okay, so is this what it is? And I was like, well, it's a mix. So then they kind of went with that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's start with the Huffington Post article and all of this kind of stuff, and then we'll work from the things that you and I agree on, and or at least that I could hear you out on, to the things where we disagree as we go along in this. But let's start with that article. How did they first approach you, contact you about this?
So I think what had happened was Andy had been monitoring my websites, and
Is Andy the guy that wrote the article?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So then he noticed that that my campaign website had gone down, and so he called and asked me about it.
Now, what? Yeah, you had a few websites that they actually asked you about during the article. What were those websites called again?
So there was Incelocalypse, Suicidal Pedophiles Forum.
Right, and that was a forum for people who are pedophiles that are suicidal.
Yeah, it was a project where we were advocating that people who don't fit into society should be allowed to kill themselves.
Okay, and I agree with that. I 100% agree. I think anybody should be able to end their life for any reason they see fit.
Well, yeah, and we were coming at it from the angle of, well, you always say these guys should just kill themselves, so why don't you actually offer them the means? You know, there's a contradiction, because you say, why don't you go kill yourself, but then society's going to do everything it can, you know, if it finds one of them who tried to kill himself, to try to revive him.
Right. So this guy, Andy, who helped write this article, he was monitoring you as it was. And then these websites went down. Why did the websites go down that day?
Okay, so DreamHost had received some complaints from some users of the Incel Tears subreddit who had said, go ahead and shut this down because he's got all this content. You know, he's got pedophiles on this site. He's got pro-rape people.
Right.
Yeah. And as people became aware that Incel Tears was watching them, I think they started having fun by being edgier, probably too.
Right, of course. That's the typical nature of the internet, I think. And that's the part that I feel like I understand reading this article, and they're obviously either being willfully ignorant of it or actually ignorant of it in the writing of this article about you and your campaign. But let's focus in on the campaign a little bit more, and we'll come back to some of these other ideas in a second. What made you start running for Congress?
It was after
9/11.
last year's campaign. You know, I'd run on a pro-patriarchy campaign. And
well, now I'm behind that 100%.
Right. Okay. So my platform was patriarchy and also a general libertarian platform. And then I wanted to take it to the federal level, address federal issues. You know, like at the federal level, we have the Violence Against Women Act. And that act, under federal law, it says if a restraining order gets issued against you in another state, then every other state in the union has to give that full faith and credit and treat that as if it were its own restraining order. So like if there's someone who wants to get a restraining order and they live like thousands of miles away, they can find a state in the union that has the easiest laws for getting a restraining order, go there, get that enforced federally against you, and to defend against that, you would have to go to court, or hire lawyers in another state. The plaintiff can file this kind of thing for free. You have to actually pay to defend yourself.
Why is this issue so close to your heart?
Well, it happened to me.
So somebody,
my ex filed for a restraining order over in Colorado, and their laws about restraining orders. Okay, they also say that you can get a permanent restraining order against someone. And, it'll be binding forever. Whereas in Virginia, it's only a maximum of like 2 years.
Have you ever lived in Colorado, or did she live in Colorado or anything?
Yeah, that's the thing. She lived in Colorado, and so that was the basis of the jurisdiction.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't that she just went there because it was the easiest place to get one. She actually lived there. Were you harassing? Like, were you, coming and showing up? And
I had sent a letter to her parents saying, okay, well, she wants a divorce, and I'm ready to just go along with it. And then I kind of laid out my opinions about why the whole thing had gone south, and she was like, oh, now you're...
Why had it gone south? How long had you guys been together?
Like, we met on Facebook in December of 2013. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually met on a suicide forum, Alt Suicide Holiday.
Oh, beautiful.
Because we both have basically felt that way at various times. And, she had posted a suicide note, and then I messaged and was like, okay, did you catch the bus, which is our terminology for committing suicide. And then, through a long chain of events, we ended up getting together.
Well, it seems like it would be perfect then. I don't know. I can't imagine why it didn't work out.
Like, basically, she's had kind of a borderline personality. She's pretty impulsive and all that.
Well, all women do. Obviously.
I mean, in the end, it's kind of a label, but it's a set of phenomena that we kind of have. You can kind of sum up in that way.
Yeah, basically, I believe. I mean, every girl I've ever dated has certainly been borderline. So, okay, so things didn't work out. You sent maybe a strongly worded letter to her parents, and she'd had about enough of it. Did you guys have? Did you have kids together?
Well, okay, that was the thing. So, she was pregnant, and we had gone to the hospital together because she was having some problems, and they were like, "Oh, by the way, you're pregnant." And then after she left me in June, then like a week and a half later, she put on Facebook, "Oh, we lost the baby," blah blah blah. They said that the baby's heart stopped, and then she texted my mom and said, "Yeah, we lost the baby." And so I believed that she had a miscarriage, and all that time I thought that, but then 9 months later, she had a kid, and I still did not know about that. And then,
so she tried to hide her pregnancy from you.
Then the day after she killed herself, I got a call from CPS saying, "Oh, by the way, you have a kid, and also your ex-wife killed herself."
Oh, okay. I didn't realize she actually did finally catch that bus.
Yeah. So what had happened was CPS took the kid because they'd gotten a tip saying, okay, this mother is really mentally ill. She's suicidal. And this is a problem with Facebook. When you put your personal business on Facebook, the people you think are your friends can be screen capping stuff and forwarding it on to CPS and other agencies.
Right.
You're putting all this stuff in writing. A lot of people have lost their kids that way.
Right.
So they put her in a mental hospital, and they removed her child, and then a week after that, basically she killed herself. And
how'd she do it?
It's pretty evident.
What'd she do? The old bang or the rope around the neck? She hung herself. hanged herself?
Yeah, you know, the thing about hanging is the people who are into hanging themselves, they're usually, it's almost like a fetish.
Right.
They're actually looking forward to dying.
She liked being choked. And then
actually, that's true. She did.
Yeah.
She did.
This was all. It was it was a long time coming, basically. Like she.
Yeah. She had failed attempts before.
Right.
She had all that kind of stuff. She
was asking for it.
Literally 100 different scars from cutting herself.
Yeah. She was asking for it. Now,
but
let me ask you this though. I want to
before.
interrupt you there though, Nathan. Let me
Okay.
ask you this. Did the being a pedophile or you raping her, like it says here in the article, did that play at all into the dissolution of the relationship?
The thing about the rape thing is it was like a story. She was like, the story kept escalating as time went on. You know, it would keep getting embellished. But yeah, like she was saying, oh, you held me down and forced me. That didn't happen.
Oh, okay. I'm only going by what they say you said in the article here, so I don't know. So did they misquote you then by saying that you bragged about raping your ex-wife?
I don't know. I mean, I may have like implied that like jokingly because like on some of these incel boards or something, because they were like, well, you're not a true cell. You know, they're like, you don't belong in this community.
Well, that was something I was going to ask about. You know, I'm Volcel personally, but you know, you seem to be pretty interested.
Volcel brother, yeah.
You seem to be pretty interested in the incel thing, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know, you're raping people, you had a wife, you seem to have sex, you had a child. Are you really incel? I mean, almost, I'm starting to think.
Well, I
maybe...
never claimed to be.
Oh, okay. I was starting to think you were wolf in sheep's clothing. Maybe you were in prom and you were lying.
I never said I was incel.
Oh, okay. You just had the boards for the incels.
It was like a don't ask, don't tell kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Just like the military.
Because you're not supposed to brag, you know, in the incel sphere.
Oh.
Just to be like, oh yeah, I got pussy, blah blah blah, because you know that's gonna make them feel bad because they can't have that.
Yeah, you don't want them to
like
feel
bragging
bad.
is a norm that you're not supposed to do.
Let me ask you this, and this is a little off topic, and then we're gonna come back to the real topic at hand here. But you know, it recently came out like people's very recently started figuring out what this whole incel phenomenon is, all because of a terrorist attack. What do you think about the incel uprising and the idea that they're one day going to just start killing?
Oh, well, it looks like it's already started, but it's like in slow motion because it's only happening like once every several years.
Do you think Elliot Rodger did anything wrong? Didn't get enough?
I guess by libertarian principles, you'd have to be like, yeah, that, you know, those people didn't directly commit aggression against them, so...
Right.
Like, yeah, maybe he did, but like from a publicity standpoint,
he violated the NAP.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I haven't really analyzed it from that point of view, but yeah, maybe.
Well, we wish the Supreme
it's hard to
Gentleman
say.
well.
Like when you don't live in a libertarian society, we got NAP violations going on constantly all around us. So,
of course.
So like if you're having an uprising, you know, It's the same thing with like with the age of consent. People are like, okay, you know, you took advantage of this girl, but it's like, yeah, but she was going to get banged by Chad anyway. So did it really?
Yeah.
Did I really corrupt it?
Now we're getting to the area where you and we're going to start, you know, not agreeing on some stuff, but we're going to come back to that. Let's get back to your congressional run here. So you had some personal reasons to try running before, but what made you decide to throw your hat in the game again this time?
I guess just wanting to put those ideas on a larger platform. You know, when you're running for Congress, you've got like a 10 times larger constituency than when you're running for like a state house.
That makes sense. A lot of people out there, though, would say, Nathan, you have no chance in hell. You're such a dark horse in this race. I'm not even sure you're in the race at all. What would you say to those people?
Yeah, the thing about that is, in this particular race, people really don't like the incumbent. Like when I was on the campaign trail, a lot of people were saying, about Barbara Comstock, like there would be an old lady and she'd say, I have a bad back, but I will do cartwheels the day that Barbara Comstock is voted out.
Right. Now
So,
I'm from the Commonwealth.
Which district?
I'm from Richmond, and
okay, so probably the 4th, maybe.
yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I haven't lived there for about 9 years now, but I'm originally from there, the Old Dominion they call it. And so that's part of what interested me about your story is, my family, I have family there, I have friends there and everything like that. I'm wondering, I could maybe get some people, throw some political weight your way there. And it's interesting to me because you and I have another thing in common other than the state. You actually went. Now I didn't go to jail for it, so this part you have up on me. But we both got in trouble for threatening to kill the president of the United States of America. Now, how long you did this? You sent a. Is this true? You sent a letter to the Secret Service saying that you would kill Barack Hussein Obamacare.
Okay, that wasn't the way it was worded. It was more like, in the near future, I will kill the president of the United States. And I worded it that way specifically to avoid making it seem like this was like a race-motivated thing, or that I was targeting one president in particular. Right. But what ended up happening was that the news said, oh, yeah, it was Obama. They kind of assumed. I
see. Now, what was your motivation for sending a letter to the Secret Service and saying you wanted to kill a potential future president?
Yeah, it was to make a point about the NAP. Okay, the government is committing aggression against us. We have the right to use retaliatory force against them.
You must have known writing a letter, though, to the Secret Service was almost certainly going to guarantee you were going to see repercussions from that. I mean, what was going through your head?
Yeah, that was the point, though. It's like, okay, I'm going to, make a sacrifice for the cause. I could use any court proceedings as an opportunity to get my ideas out there. Because it's an unusual thing to commit yourself so fully to a cause that you're going to accept, all the pain that comes from that. Right. And so that makes it kind of notable.
You're martyring yourself.
What?
You were martyring yourself, it sounds like. Well, let me ask you this. How long did you end up in jail over this?
Yeah, so I actually went there 3 times because the first time was on the original offense, and then I had 2 supervised release violations after that. And, actually, federal supervised release is a lot harder to get through successfully than state level because they just restrict you a lot more.
Tell me about it. What in total, though, how much time did you spend behind bars?
Oh, yes, I did a total of 46 months.
46 months, okay. So, now I said we have that in common. I was investigated by the Secret Service. They came to my house because I made a series of statements detailing plans on how to sneak into the White House and kill Obama and his wife and children in their sleep. But I was joking when I said I wasn't actually going to do it. I was saying it on this program as a joke. I just happened to do that joke a lot of times over the course of a year and a half. The interesting thing to me, though, is I did not go to jail, but you spent 46 months behind bars as a result.
Yeah, and they knew that it wasn't a serious threat, but they were like, well, if you're making us do this, by not taking the opportunity to retract what you said and say I was just joking.
Well, it sounds like I really lucked out then.
There's a precedent. There's the Watts case was a precedent that said, if you are joking, they can't bust you for it.
Oh, see,
the circumstance.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because during the Vietnam War, there was a kid who got up at a rally and said, if they draft me, the first man I want to get in my sights is LBJ. Or if they make me carry a rifle, that's what he said.
Mm-hmm. See, I had no idea going into
that, and the Supreme Court let him go.
They showed up to my apartment. I thought I was about to get black bagged and on my way to Gitmo.
Right.
Okay, so I want to establish some common ground, and see where we agree. Of course, I agree with your ideas on patriarchy. Could you give people one thing that I thought you said was very interesting? Part of your plan for your platform here is you would like to get rid of the laws that stop a man from beating or killing his wife when she creates, the slightest, misstep against her husband. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it from a property rights perspective. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if women are going to be treated like property,
yeah, okay, all right, there you go. So I want it clear to people what you mean by that is that in your belief, in your estimation, women are property, and so you should be able to do with your property what you see fit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll just be a system that works better.
Well, it's sound, holds water, and I agree with that. Oh, and by the way, I just wanted to mention this. It's kind of ironic that, or I guess it's not ironic, but it's interesting that you did go to jail for that time and you're still able to run for Congress because while you were behind bars, I believe it was, the governor of Virginia got rid of the law that says you cannot run for political office if you are a former felon.
Well, the thing about that is, applies to state level offices. So like last year, in order to run for delegate, I had to have my rights restored. But federally, the Constitution only puts like 3 requirements for running for Congress or the presidency. And, there's an age, a residency requirement. But no one's allowed to add to those requirements. They can't add a requirement that you be a non-felon.
Right.
And that, maybe the reason that wasn't put in there was that back then they used to just kill felons. Like the early Congresses would just hang you for like piracy or counterfeiting or any of that kind of stuff. So we probably didn't have a whole lot of felons running around.
I just want to go to the chat room here really quick, and what I'm hoping to do at the end of this, and if you don't mind, is after I've finished interviewing you, we'll sort of go to the chat room for like a town hall kind of thing and let them ask some questions through me.
Gotcha.
And you can answer any of the questions they have. But I see in the chat room right now, they're saying some stuff, and I just want to address some of it right now. Someone says, yeah, where's the roasting for pedophilia? To be fair, technically children are property also, says somebody else. Hey, guys, we're going to touch every base we can here. We're going to ask all the questions. We're going to need to understand everything. Somebody says, yeah, I like him now. I think that was in response to your ideas on property rights. But so let's get into some more of your platform, and we'll move toward these things as we go. Now, number one, you said you want to stop the war on drugs. I'm fully on board with that. I believe the war on drugs has been a total disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So is your idea to just would you pardon everybody who is currently incarcerated for drugs?
Oh, sure.
Immediate release. Okay. I agree with that one. Let's talk about the theme of, and I'm getting some of this. You had a manifesto, so to speak. To use a term online. It's no longer officially up, but somebody did manage to archive it before it was taken down. And so I'm actually kind of pulling from that a little bit. I do recommend people try to find it, the Nathan Larson for Congress Campaign Manifesto. It's an interesting read. And I notice you use a lot of sort of meme imagery and fash wave imagery. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was hanging out in the aRchive Discord channel for a while before. I think it got taken down, or they cleared out all the lurkers or whatever, but I was just gathering whatever artwork I could.
Okay. See, now, I think this is one thing I want to address right away is I think people see stuff like that and they think, well, maybe this guy's just trolling. So is there any, even and you can be straight with me, to put it out there, I am a troll. I'm literally paid to troll people. That's what I do. And so I have no problems if that's the case. But I think people are wondering, is this a troll campaign? Is there an element of trolling to this? Is he sort of talking some of this up bigger than it actually is? Or And I understand and respect it if you want to, keep that under your hat, but I have to ask. Are you trolling?
I think like the nature of how this activism works is that one thing I think people are kind of figuring out what they believe. I think we're in a period now where like the alt-right as it exists now is not the final stage of it.
Right.
Libertarianism is having to evolve to incorporate patriarchal ideas as we discover, okay, feminism didn't work, but now what? How do we mesh this stuff? Because people have always said that that the far right and libertarianism don't go together. So it's like, okay, so these ideas are evolving, and when people aren't really sure, a lot of times they'll just kind of joke about it, and they're like, well, what if this, what if that, because in joking, you have more freedom to kind of explore different things. But yeah, and also it's just kind of fun, We're also in a state where we're getting shut down a lot. So.
Yeah. You don't have to tell me about that. I know
the
that.
The absurdity of the situation is so much that it's easy to become black-pilled, and then you're like, all right, I'm just going to joke about it,
Right. So there's a little bit there's an element of it in there, but you're not you're serious. You're joking about serious things, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Okay, and obviously, I mean, the man went to jail for writing a letter about killing the president. So, I mean, how much... It can only be trolling, but so much if you're willing to go to jail over it. And somebody says in the chat room, too, that BuzzFeed loves guys like you. The articles just write themselves. I do think there's an element of truth to that as well. Okay, so let me ask you about this. I think this is something on everybody's mind to some degree or another. You have a theme listed in your manifesto of something called benevolent white supremacy. Can you tell people what that is, what the idea there is?
So the idea is aristocracy, essentially. We should have rule by the best, however we can. And we've seen empirically that the countries that have been led by whites, especially Germanic whites, have for example, Russia, when it was under the House of Romanov, the Tsar, those countries have been more prosperous. They've had better government than the countries that were led by non-whites, and so I think it is good to have whites in charge of the government, and even if the law doesn't explicitly disenfranchise non-whites, we still have kind of a setup that gives whites an advantage in being able to control the government. Like the Electoral College gives these states like Nebraska, which are heavily white, more votes than would be proportional. So, another option that we could have is the system Curtis Yarvin put forth, which was neocameralism. That means make the government a for-profit corporation. And since whites tend to be those who are more successful in business, that's probably going to mean that would be a white-led government as well.
Okay, and so are you hoping, do you want an ethno-state, or like does everybody else have to go, or you just want everybody ruled by whites?
I think every country is probably going to be better off if they have whites leading the government, regardless of what the majority of the population is.
I see. So you just want every country ruled by whites?
I think it would be in their best interest.
But
if you look at a country like Zimbabwe, they're run by their own kind, but are their rulers of their own kind really treating them, like brothers? I wouldn't say so.
Well, bring back Rhodesia, but look, I have to bring this up then. I mean, you want to go by statistics and, concepts like this that people don't like to talk about. Every IQ stat out there says Asians better than white. So why should we take over and not, Mr. China?
Well, I question whether they're as good at being as creative. Like where are the Asian tech companies? I mean, okay, there's some of them, but they're not really doing what Silicon Valley does.
They're not innovating. You're saying they don't innovate; they just sort of copy what there is.
They kind of take our innovations and refine them. So like, okay, whites invent the car. They come up with Toyota. They take lean manufacturing and then come up with a better car. They didn't have unionized system like Detroit, so they were able to get the advantage. And then we actually kind of maybe copy. With that competition there, we actually became better again.
Well, I agree with you there. But let me ask you this then. Do you believe in racial mixing?
I think it's fine. See, I think it should be up to the father of a girl, who he wants to give his daughter to in marriage. So okay. like if he makes a judgment and says, our family tradition is that, we're cool with race mixing, then, let that process play out, because there's a competition among families to breed more than the others or be more prosperous than the others. Is survival of the fittest, and the best genes and the best culture are going to win out.
Are you currently married?
I am. Yeah, I'm separated right now.
Oh, you're separated, and your wife or your ex or whatever, is she white?
She's Filipino.
And that's the one you're separated from. What about the one that killed herself?
Yeah, she claimed to be Jewish, but I've not seen any evidence of that. Because she was adopted, so I don't have.
Now look, all right, hang on. I gotta call you out here, Nathan. Now you say in an email exchange we were having, I found this kind of funny because I made this prediction. There's something about this, where all the guys that sort of think along the same lines as you, they're all I'll give you this. You just said that you think, race mixing is basically fine and the father and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, in reality, if you think white people are the best, then it's crazy to be with a non-white. But there's always this.
Well, that's kind of how that came to be. I mean, I also read Mein Kampf. This stuff is. But my campaign last year was not really white supremacist.
Sure. All I'm saying is I noticed this trend of white nationalist type guys where they seem to always have either Asian girlfriends or wives or Jewish girlfriends or wives, and you claim Hitler as a hero, as a personal hero of yours. So it seems a little strange.
Yeah, well, I got with those girls before my racial views really evolved all that much. I wasn't really hanging out with alt-righters until like the last year or two.
So this is new for you're just dabbling now. But the Filipina, is she? I mean, is it a mail order sort of thing, or how did you meet her?
Yeah, we met via internet. Via Cherry Blossoms, which is one of those sites where Westerners meet
essentially
with primarily Filipinos.
Yeah, essentially mail order. I mean, it's not a nice way of saying it, but it's not like we're saying nice things right now, so who cares? And then you said you're separated from her right now. What happened?
That was over, I think, money issues.
Oh, it's
pretty
a money
much.
thing.
Yeah, see, but that was another case. Okay, that was a social experiment because she was like, okay, I don't mind if I'm the main breadwinner, and then she comes here and then her natural female tendencies want to be taken care of kick in, and she's like, okay, well, you need to give me a better life.
You say it's a social experiment. I mean, you're not a YouTube prankster or something. It's not a social experiment to order a lady.
It was a small scale experiment, to see. Okay,
hey, it's a social experiment. Yeah, forget about it. Yeah, hey, whatever. I just ordered a lady here from the Philippines. It's a social experiment. You can't just do that.
I don't know what do you. It's some kind of experiment. I don't know what you want to call it.
Well, the great experiment, I guess. So you say, all right. So you've got there's these sort of conflicting ideals you have here, but you do call Hitler a white supremacist hero. What do you tell? I mean, obviously that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. What do you tell people when you tell them that?
I don't know. I liked his book. You know, it's more better written than people
Hey,
give
kept
him
the
credit
trains
for.
running on time. Yeah, no, he wrote a great book. A lot of people won't read it, but sure, yeah. People aren't reading Mein Kampf; they are reading Culture of Critique. But sure, yeah, okay.
Well, yeah. And what would have happened to Germany if Hitler had not come along? What would have happened? Would Germany have been taken over by Marxists, and would those Marxists have been any better than the Nazis?
Well, probably if Hitler didn't do it, it would have been somebody else very similar to Hitler doing very similar stuff. Do you think the Holocaust happened?
I mean, I'm not a Holocaust expert, but yeah, I'm not going to assume that it happened.
Right. I mean, at the very least,
because here's the thing: criticism or Holocaust denial has been suppressed so much that it makes me suspicious about why it's being suppressed.
sure, yeah. You don't. I mean, at the very least, you don't believe in the 6 million, right?
6 gorillion. Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of. Who knows? I mean, I'm not an expert on it. I mean, but I know that we're not allowed to question it, so that is a red flag to me. You know, because you don't have to ban people from saying that the sky is orange.
Right. But your first wife, she claimed to be Jewish.
Oh yeah, and made a big deal about it. You know, wore the Star of David earring and all that.
That's
and then it wrote like a multi-part essay on how not to be anti-Semitic, and then another multi-part essay.
Were you when you were with her? Were you anti-Semitic then, or is that a later development?
That's more of a later development. But the thing is, at this point, the way I look at Jews is that they're kind of destroying themselves anyway, especially the more leftist Jews. So I'm not even sure they're going to be that much of a long-term problem. Like they're outbreeding right now.
Well, tell that to all the nations that have kicked them out, I guess. Look, there's a part of me that wonders though, did you is any of this stuff that you think now just sort of reactionary to shit you fucked up in your life?
I don't know. I mean,
okay.
It might be.
Yeah, I mean, well, you like your wife left you and then hid your baby from you and killed herself.
Who are having similar problems.
She was a Jew. Oh
What's
no,
that?
I certainly I understand a lot of the criticisms, but what I'm saying is, do you remember when you had a wife and then she left you, hid a baby from you, and killed herself?
Oh, what about that?
Well, I'm just wondering if maybe her being Jewish maybe started implanting some thoughts in your head where you're like, I don't know about these Jews.
Oh well, she was a pathological liar, so like that. Goes
Again,
along with the
women, Jewish. Okay, fine. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, because here's where I just can't get on board with you. I can't do it. The whole you are a pedophile who would like to have sex with your own daughter thing. Not really my style personally. Thoughts?
Like incestuous marriage would be a logical allowing that would be a logical extension of the idea that women are men's property and that they start out as their father's property and then are
sure, but
become the property. So
you could also you could own a thresher as property. It doesn't necessarily mean you ought to be sticking your dick in it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So logic dictating something isn't always like the number one thing. Have you fucked a kid, Nathan?
No, but
if
I had, I wouldn't say it.
Okay. Sure, fair enough, I guess. But I mean, it's not like you're hiding the fact that you have pedophilic tendencies. I mean, you're a self-admitted, or at least a hebephile, right? And a phebophile.
I did call myself that, yeah.
Okay.
But there are degrees of this, you know. Like it's kind of like
who's the youngest? What's the age of the youngest person you've ever been attracted to?
Like like want to mess around with, like maybe, or like to be curious about, like maybe like toddler age.
Oh God, Nathan, what the fuck, man? That's fucked.
I don't know.
Jesus
But that's more like
Christ.
curiosity. That's more like
Holy
curiosity than like, oh, you got one.
Well, you know, yeah, that I think that's a little bit beyond curiosity. Like I'm a curious fella, right? And I believe in the old saying, "Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought him back." The full saying of it, not the misunderstanding of the saying.
Well, just like there's like bi-curious, there could be pedo-curious.
Well, I don't believe in bi-curious personally. I think if you're bi anything, you're just a gay guy. Have you ever been interested in a little boy?
No.
Okay, so you're straight, but just you have no age barriers.
Not really, but see, I'm not primarily attracted to little kids. Like I don't like sit around fantasizing about them usually.
Well,
but I might like talk to these pedophiles and we're like, oh yeah, I wonder what that would be like.
No, a minute ago you just said that you were curious about fucking a toddler. So, like,
I said mess around.
Mess around. I mean, what? Okay, what does that mean?
Well, like fucking.
Let them use your dick as a diving board. What does mess around mean?
Huh?
What are you gonna do with it? Look, you can use curiosity as like an excuse, right? But have you ever been curious about what your dad's butthole tastes like?
No.
Oh well, how come?
Because there's like a disgust reaction.
Well, right, yeah. Most people have that when it comes to doing sexual shit to non-sexual beings. Do you find children to be sexual beings?
Sometimes they act that way.
No. Like, are you sure you're not misreading some signals?
I don't know.
You
like
don't know.
Sometimes they'll kind of
what do you think is
around or whatever.
All right, let's were you ever did you ever do anything sexual as a toddler?
Not that I remember.
Not that you remember. But so all right, let's get Nathan into little Nathan's shoes. And let's imagine you're a 5-year-old, right? So old enough to remember. And you know, a man comes around, let's just say he's a 30-something-year-old man, bald. He comes up to you, stranger on the street, just a white guy. And he comes up to you and he's like, I don't know, kind of looks like you're giving me the eyes. You're looking a little sexual to me. How about what say you come with me? And then he picks you up and he puts you in the back of his car and he makes you, you know, as a 5-year-old little boy, ride his penis until he, let's call it, orgasms and there's cum all over you. And then you remember that for the rest of your waking nightmare life. How would you feel about that?
Well, see, like being that age is so distant from being 37. I mean, it's hard to even put myself in my shoes at that time. But yeah, I'm also straight, so I don't know. It's really hard to say because there have been some men who are like, yeah, when I was a kid, I messed around with some adult men and I actually enjoyed it, and then they're cool with it after that. So I don't know. Do we discount those stories and say, well, they were just trying to rationalize what happened, or say that they falsified the story?
I 100% think that that's probably what leads to a lot of people being gay as an adult. But
what is it? But it turns them gay, you're saying?
Essentially. I mean, it doesn't, maybe not turns them gay because it doesn't happen to all of them. In fact, the point I was about to make was certainly the vast majority of anecdotal reports on this is I didn't care for it. Right?
Well, yeah, but it's politically incorrect to say that you did, though.
You think so? So you think people are lying because of?
To say I enjoyed that.
You think people are lying about their enjoyment of being touched as a kid because it would be wrong to say you did like it. You think that's the reason?
Well, there could be an element of that, or it could be that they have reinterpreted it. You know, because it could be that people, and there actually are stories of that where like girls messed around with an adult and then they were like, oh yeah, I was fine. I actually orgasmed from that and I enjoyed it. And then they were like, but years later, then people told me that it was wrong. And then I felt ashamed because I'd done something that we weren't supposed to be doing, you know, and then they felt betrayed because society told them that they were betrayed.
Right. All right. Let's go into our town hall meeting portion of this
Okay.
program here. I'm going to allow anybody in the chat room to ask any questions they have of Nathan, and I will. You can actually. We'll do this as well. If you'd like to call in, you can ask as well. 480-382-9385 is the phone number to call. That's 480-38-AWFUL is the phone line, or you can message in the chat room. And I'll try to read out the ones I see in there, okay? If you have any questions at all, let's let them know. It's a bit of a delay, so let's give them a second here. Again, the phone line, 480-382-9385, 480-38-AWFUL if you want to call, or just type it out in the chat room, and I'll see what I can do about your questions. Do you like Sonic the Hedgehog? Asks somebody.
It's okay. I never had that game system.
The Sega.
That's Sega, yeah. Yeah, I went I stayed with the old school 8-bit. So.
Okay.
And then
your sound is cutting out just a little bit. I think we're losing a little quality with you there. The quality of the call just went down a little bit, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, I think what they're asking though about the Sonic is maybe they're picking up that maybe. Do you have any autism? Are you on the spectrum at all?
The last time I was evaluated, you know, for the first time, he was like, "Yeah, I think you might be on the spectrum."
Yeah.
So yeah, I did get an official diagnosis for it, but I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I was detecting that early on in this. I do think maybe you're probably full-blown spectrum. Since dogs are property, is it cool to fuck them?
Sure.
Okay. If you were to kill yourself, what method would you... Actually, we'll come back to that question. Let's take this phone call. Hi there, caller. Who's this?
Hey, it's Corey.
Hi, Corey. You're on PODAWFUL. We're talking to Nathan. He's running for Congress. He's a pedo. You got a question?
Yeah, I got a question for him.
Okay, go ahead.
So have you ever considered how you're making your family look? You know, you're saying a lot of disgusting things. And obviously, I would say most normal people would be pretty embarrassed of their child hearing these, that their son is publicly saying they'd like to fuck a child.
Well, his own, I think, was it specifically your own child or any child, Nathan?
Probably both.
Oh, okay. Well, see, with your own child, at least it makes sense logically because that's your property. But just anyone's, I don't think you should.
You could obtain other children though if their father was like, yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, if they gave permission. Yeah, okay. So he's saying only with permission, Corey. Do you think that's going to make a difference with his family or no?
I don't think it would. I feel like anyone related to him should probably be disgusted by him and should probably be puking all over their shoes.
Oh, okay.
But see, every family has like a black sheep anyway, you know. So in my case, in my family, it just happened to be me.
Well, you might be the white sheep of your family, but okay. All right. Well, thank you for the call, Corey.
Hey, no problem. I'll talk to you later.
All right. 480-382-9385, 480-38-AWFUL. Someone wanted to know, if you were to kill yourself, what method would you use?
I think like a cool method would be to get like one of those ED-209 robots from RoboCop and then just have it like shoot you so many times that you're just gonna go out the window.
That seems unlikely. What about
like there's no way you could possibly fail, basically. You know, like I would want a method that's foolproof. There's no way I'm gonna live through it, like a firing squad basically would be my favorite.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like a foolproof way would just be to okay it with somebody else for them to shoot you as many times as it takes.
And at times, like when I felt suicidal, I tried to like recruit someone to be like, "Hey, can you shoot me in the head?" And they're like,
Have you been feeling suicidal at all lately?
What's that?
Not
lately, no. Yeah, the irony always is that the people who like you don't want to help you kill yourself because they want you to hang around.
Right. Yeah, it's very selfish of them. I would help you. All right, let's see. Are you okay with slavery?
Slavery. That's a good question. And that's another area where it's like, okay, the NAP is going to have to be reconciled with, okay, alt-right ideas. But yeah, I'm not sure it's a system we really need. I mean, Hitler wrote, it was a phase that we went through where we used the lesser races for the advancement of civilization, but I don't know if it's the optimal system right now. I mean, but
somebody asked. We're gonna move on to the next one. Somebody asked, "Is this nigga all full of SSRIs?"
I have taken those, and I did have pretty bad effects from it.
Okay, yeah, it seems like maybe.
Basically, I did my own school shooting. Yeah, it's a long story. Because I took a super soaker full of urine and sprayed another kid and tried to spray the principal.
God.
When I was 15.
All right, so you're basically Nicholas Cruz. Got it. What is your favorite race in World of Warcraft?
I don't know. Orcs are pretty cool.
Orc. Okay.
Yeah, orcs, right?
Yeah. All right. I'll go with. I don't know World of Warcraft, but I'll go with that.
Can I finish what I was saying? Oh, yeah. Obviously, since I say women should be property, I believe in that kind of slavery.
Okay, so yeah, women as slavery, sure, as slaves. Do you ever put pencils in your asshole, or do you ever do any sort of butt stuff?
Not like that. I like when girls do a rim job.
Okay, you're into getting your ass eat.
Basically, yeah.
What do you think a child would be any good at eating your ass?
I hadn't thought about that.
That'd probably take some training, huh? Again, guys, 480-38-AWFUL, 480-382-9385. I saw one call try to come through. Sometimes we got a little issue with the phone system. Just keep trying to call, and I'll take it as they come in. What is the age where a child is most rapeable to you?
It's easiest to rape them, or it's most desirable to rape them, or both.
Let's get both answers, if they're different.
Dang. Rape sounds so harsh.
Well, does it? By the way, sex with any child is rape, so just call it sex in your head then. Same thing.
Well, yeah, and in the incel community, they tend to say that rape is a social construct because they're like, females can't give valid consent anyway, so, and they, but yeah, I haven't really sat around thinking about that too much.
All right, we'll give it some thought. Let's see. Do you have? No, that's a dumb question. Let me find another one here. Are you a conspiracy theorist? What do you think about Sandy Hook, 9/11, Illuminati? You think about that. Think about that one while I take this call. Hi there. Who's this?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Join Colt.
Hi there, Join Cult. Do you have a question for Nathan? He's running for Congress. He's into
I'm just wondering, how fucking diluted are you? He talks of this stuff with just a straight face. It's disgusting.
Well, if I'm deluded, then I wouldn't know I was deluded.
Yeah. Do you think you deserve a bullet?
Huh?
He asked, do you think you deserve a bullet?
Not really.
Okay, but maybe the president. And by the way, Vinny, who just called in, he just hung up. But the guy that just called in, I believe, is a 15-year-old boy. So I don't know. Does that do anything for you, or just girls, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what about the conspiracy thing? 9/11, Sandy Hook. What's your ideas there?
Yeah. I'm usually not really into that.
No. So you think they happened exactly the way the news says?
No, the news is pretty biased.
What's the oldest?
I just never really got it. What?
What's the oldest person you've ever been attracted to? Like your grandma, or
probably like mid-40s or something. Yeah, like MILF kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that you don't really think too much about old people, but you do think about children. Because why not get curious about the elderly if you're going to get curious about a child? Because the elderly are still technically sexual in the most technical sense, but still. Whereas a child has not reached the age of sexual maturity by any biological standard.
Yeah, well, it could be evolutionary psychology. I mean, it could be, there's personality differences. Like, as when we get older, their personalities become more masculine and that kind of stuff.
Do you think it's possible at all that maybe you just have like a fucking tumor, or your brain is missing like a large chunk or something, and that's why?
Well, we don't really know. I mean, not a lot is really known about the cause of pedophilia, and that goes for mental health in general.
All right. Well, let's take this phone call. Hi there, you're on the show. Who's this?
Hey there, this is Lenny Ways.
Okay, hi there, Lenny Ways. Can you quiet down the Play-Doh factory in the background?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
All right, thanks. So you got a question for Nathan here. Nathan's running for Congress. He's from Virginia. He likes Hitler.
Oh, cool. Yeah, my question was, since women are property, and even when they die, are they still property? And does that make it okay to fuck dead people?
That's a great
question.
And
have you ever been curious about fucking dead people?
Oh, great question. Nathan, what do you think about that? Can you fuck a corpse?
Sure, why not?
All right, well, there you go. And would you prefer, like, if it was a child's corpse, would you prefer that, or do you think you'd prefer an older corpse?
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
It sure is.
Yeah.
You gotta really put some thought into that one. All right, well, thank you, Lenny Ways, for that call. I had to hang up on him because the fucking whole Play-Doh factory was making a sound in the background. Let's see. Holy shit, this dude totally has a fucked brain. Missing pieces indeed. You should go on Dr. Phil and get some stem cells to fix your brain. What do you think about that? Would you be willing to, if we could get you on Dr. Phil, would you be willing to go on there to get some stem cells?
Probably not. It might make it even worse.
I don't think that's possible. All right. Well, Nathan, I wish you the absolute worst of luck, you fucking freak. What is wrong with you? Do not fuck children. That is disgusting. I do hope you get suicidal again, man.
Okay. Well, I definitely could call him.
All right. Thank you so much for the interview. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you to Nathan for being an inhuman monster, and I hate him. I agree with all of his patriarchy stuff, though. All right, guys. Well, that's the show. If you enjoy what we do here at PodAwful and you want more of it, we've got a Patreon-like system called the Pizza Fund. PodAwful.pizza is the link. Get access to all of our bonus content for as little as $1, and there are many different levels to choose from. That's it. That's the entire show. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for our bonus show on Wednesday. PodAwful.pizza once again. And blessings from dear God and sacrifices from dear God for small Ryan. All right, until next time, have an awful day.
Head over to podawful.com/iTunes and subscribe to us on iTunes. We're live every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern at podawful.tv. Love the show? Keep it going by donating to the Pizza Fund. podawful.com/support. And anything else you need.